The first chapter is Nutrition in Plants. In this chapter, you will learn about nutrition and heterotropic nutrition. This first paragraph says that food is the prime requirement of all living organisms, which means food is required by all organisms. It gives us energy to do various activities. Activities like walking, playing, etc. Food helps us to fight diseases and keeps our body in good health. This means that food helps us to fight against diseases. If we don't eat, we'll fall sick. In this paragraph, it is written, why do we need food? It has 3 points and this is important from an examination point of view. There are 3 points. The first point states that it is required for energy. All of us know that food gives us energy to do our daily activities. You cannot walk or play without food, without energy. The second point states that it helps us to fight diseases. We have often seen people who do not eat properly fall sick because they are weak. So food helps us to maintain our health and fight diseases. In the third point, it states that it helps organism to repair their body and also helps in growth. It is you have often heard your parents saying that if you eat properly, you will grow healthy and you will grow tall. So here it is. It says the same, that if you eat properly, it will help you to grow. Then here it says that despite the disparity among living organisms, certain processes are needed for all living organisms. This means that even though the living organisms are different, but still there are certain processes which are common for all living organisms. Like if you see a plant and an animal, they are different, but they need food, so that is common. The maintenance function of all living organisms must go even when they are at rest. This means that even when we are resting or we are sleeping, there are certain maintenance functions that are going on, like you breathe even when you sleep. For this, organisms have to eat, respire, digest food, remove waste products, respond to stimuli, and to continue their race, they have to produce more. These basic activities, which all living things perform, are known as life processes. So, the definition of life processes are the life processes is the basic activities like eating, respiration, digestion of food, removing waste products, responding to stimuli, and production, which all living things perform, are known as life processes. Now the second point is nutrition. What is nutrition? The process of taking or consuming and utilizing food is called nutrition. So this definition is important. Now when we swim or walk or ride a bicycle, we are using up energy. As I have already told you that we need energy for everything. Even when apparent work is not done, energy is required to maintain a state of order in our body. We use outside material to grow, develop, and synthesize useful chemicals needed for our sustenance. This means that we use outside source like food, like the roti we eat or the rice we take. These are outside source, and we use them for our growth and development. This source of energy and materials is the food we eat. So now, what is food? Food are the substances from which an organism derives energy and materials for growth and maintenance. You should remember this definition. And in class 6, you will learn about food consists of a number of important components like carbohydrates, fats, proteins, etc. This is not important for you right now, but just for a basic idea, this is a leaf and this is the sun. All of us know that plants produce their own food from the sun. Now how this happens? This is carbon dioxide and water. We know that all plants need water. Now the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, the animals breathe out, carbon dioxide and water is absorbed by the leaves and they produce carbohydrates and oxygen. Oxygen, all of us know that plants give oxygen, which is essential for us to survive. Now, this carbohydrate produced by plants for themselves is their food. So, plants produce carbohydrates and oxygen from carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Carbohydrates is utilized by the plants and oxygen is given to us. Now in page number 6, we will see the modes of nutrition. So the mode of nutrition, there are two modes of nutrition, autotropic and heterotropic. Autotropic can be divided into two words, auto and tropic. Auto means self and tropic means food. And in heterotropic, it is divided into two words, hetero means other, tropic means food. Autotropic is self-food. So when you see green plants, we don't have to feed them, we just have to water them. So as already told earlier, that green plants can make their own food from sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. So we don't have to feed them. So they are known as autotropic. But heterotropic, like us humans, we need food even if we drink water. So we take the food from other source such as plants. We eat plant products like carrots, like vegetables, fruits, etc. Or we eat meat. So we are heterotropic because we cannot produce our own food. So here it is written other food. We consume others for our food. But autotropic is self food. They produce their own food like plants, green plants. So the definition of autotropic nutrition is, in this type of nutrition, organisms use inorganic substances to synthesize their own food. Inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water and sunlight to synthesize. Synthesize means make their own food. All green plants and some bacteria feed autotropically. That means all green plants and bacteria feed autotropically. Autotrop means self-food as already told. So autotropically means they produce their own food, green plants and some bacteria. Green plants have a pigment called chlorophyll. Now how they prepare their own food? In the green plants, there is a substance known as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll can be said as the factory for food production in plants. So consider a leaf. In the leaf, there are factories of food production known as chlorophyll. So in the chlorophyll use water, carbon dioxide and sunlight to prepare their food. The process by which food is prepared by chlorophyll is known as photosynthesis. So now you know what is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a factory which produces food in plants, and the process by which chlorophyll produces food is known as photosynthesis. So photo means light. You already know that photo means light and synthesis means to make. So photo means light and synthesis means to put together or manufacture. Substances needed for process of photosynthesis are carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. So this is important for you. What are the substances needed for the plants to produce food? They are carbon dioxide, sunlight, water and chlorophyll. The leaves of young stems of plants are green in color and have numerous green structure called chloroplast. They give green pigment called chlorophyll that absorbs sunlight and gets activated. So this green leaf, they have numerous green structures. The green structures, they are microscopic. You might know microscopic, that are not visible to our naked eye. They are known as microscopic elements. So chloroplasts are microscopic and they are green in color because they have a green pigment called as chlorophyll that absorbs sunlight. So when chlorophyll absorbs sunlight, they get activated and they get activated to produce food, that is carbohydrate for plants. And these are stomata. Stomatas are present on the lower side of leaf. You must know the upper and lower side of leaf. So these stomata are present on lower side of leaf. Stomata are nothing but they are just some pores, holes, through which plants take carbon dioxide. Like we take oxygen from our nose, and our nose has holes in it. In the same way, these stomata are just like our nostrils, like the holes we have in our nose. So stomata is present in leaves because leaves also need to take in carbon dioxide. So they take in carbon dioxide through this stomata. So don't get confused about stomata. Just consider them to be the leaf's nose. That are holes, and they are guard this stomata opening, and see this is open and this is closed. So this stomata are guarded are this opening and closing of stomata is done by guard cells. These are guard cells. You see, this is open and this is closed. So these are guard cells. So here it is written, on the underside of leaf plants have numerous pores called stomata. Just like our nose, these stomata are present on the lower side of leaf, through which plants take in carbon dioxide. So they take carbon dioxide through stomata. The opening and closing of stomata is controlled by guard cells. As I told you, these are guard cells. As they surround the stomata, the water is absorbed by roots and is transported through xylem cells found in the soil. So you don't need to know about xylem right now, because that will be taught to you in your senior classes. You just need to know that water is transported from roots through xylem. That is enough for you. So now we'll see what happens in the chloroplast. You see this small box? So in the chlorophyll, carbon dioxide combines with water and it forms to glucose plus oxygen in the presence of sunlight. So here it is written, the chloroplast with sun's energy put together carbon dioxide and water to form a carbohydrate. This carbohydrate is glucose, just like glucon D. It's the same compound. Carbohydrate is glucose. So like we get energy from glucon D, plants get energy from this carbohydrate called as glucose that is stored in them. And this glucose is stored in the plants and oxygen is given out by plants for us. All of us know that plants give oxygen. That has been taught to us. The food that plants make is used not only by themselves but also by the entire living world. That is known to us because we eat vegetables, fruits that are produced by plants. Apart from the balance between oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is also maintained by the process of photosynthesis. Therefore, the absence of photosynthesis, life will not be possible. So this photosynthesis is a very important part of plants because photosynthesis helps them to make their own food. And if photosynthesis is absent, then none of us would get any food, because even the meat we eat, the herbivore plants, they depend on the herbivore animals, they depend on plants for their food. Now here there are two activities, activity 1 and activity 2 on this page, which the students will have to go on by themselves because it is not possible to display this in online classes. Now this is a fact file. Water is needed by plants to keep it straight and rigid. Cell wall is a part of plant cell that absorbs enough water till it becomes rigid. So in order for the plants to stand straight, water is needed. On hot, dry days, plants droop down or wilt due to excessive loss of water. They become turgid again on absorbing more water. On hot, dry days, plants droop down. That means you have seen plants get dry and they appear dead when there is lack of water. They become turgid again. That means they stand up straight again on absorbing more water. So that's all from page number 7. Now we come to page number 8. So in page number 8 also, there is activity 3, show that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis, and activity 4 to show that oxygen is released during photosynthesis. It is not important from an examination point of view and also not possible to show you in the online classes. So here's a fact file. Photosynthesis occur in those leaves too which are colored other than green, such as red, brown, yellow. So don't be confused that photosynthesis occurs only in the green plants. It also occurs in plants which have red, yellow or orange kind of leaves, because they also contain chlorophyll, and we know that chlorophyll is the factory, the chlorophyll and chloroplast, these are the factories where food is produced by the plants. So if a plant possesses chlorophyll, then it can produce food. But in the plants where the leaves are red, brown, yellow or orange, they also contain chlorophyll, but there are other pigments too which conceal the green color. But chloroplast and chlorophyll are generally green in color. Now we come to the second part of the chapter, that is heterotropic nutrition. In this mode of nutrition, Organisms depend on in this mode of nutrition, organisms depend on these organisms for food. All non-green plants are heterotrophs. This means, as already said to you in page number 6, there are two types of plants, autotrophs and heterotrophs. Hetero means other and food. So heterotropic plants are plants. Heterotropic organisms are organisms which cannot produce their own food. So all non-green plants are heterotrophs. Now this is a food chain of a heterotropic nutrition. We can see a fungi, we can see sun, this is a grass, these are autotrophs, they produce their own food. Grass is eaten by the grasshopper, this is a heterotroph because it is not producing its own food but it is eating the grass. Now the frog eats the grasshopper, it is also a heterotroph. The snake eats the frog, also a heterotroph. The hawk eats the snake, this is also a heterotroph. And when the hawk dies and falls into the land, this fungi, they digest it. So it is saprotrophic. So heterotrophs are divided into four types. Saprophytic, derive food from dead and decaying bodies like fungi who digest the dead hawk. Saprotrophs are the, like you might have seen dead leaves falling on the ground and they decay. So the organisms which feed on the decaying and dead bodies are known as saprotroph. Then comes insectivorous. Trop insects and feed or them. So insectivorous are the frogs. Frog eats the grasshopper. Then comes parasitic, derive food from other living organisms. And then comes symbiotic. Two organisms living together and are bow-tilted each other. So now at first we'll read about saprophytic plants. These heterotrophic plants feed on dead and decaying bodies of living organisms called saprophytes. These plants lack green color. So saprophytic plants are not green in color. And they feed on dead and decaying bodies or living organisms. So saprophytic means they feed on dead and decaying. They secrete digestive juice to decompose organic matter in liquid form and absorb the digestive matter. So saprophytic plants, what they do is, suppose a dead animal or the dead plant is lying on the floor. These saprophytic organisms, they secrete some digestive juice. The digestive juice, when falls on the dead organism, it digests their body. So it gets easier for the saprophytic plants to consume that. So this type of nutrition is known as saprophytic nutrition. Mushroom and fungi have this type of nutrition. They grow on clothes, shoe, pickles, etc. in warm and moist condition. You must have seen mushroom. This is the shape of a mushroom, like umbrella shape. So those are saprophytes. So in page number 10, we'll read about parasitic plants. The heterotrophs living on another organism and derive food from them are called parasites. That means if a heterotroph means those who produce food from those who consume others and cannot produce their own food, living on other organism and derive food from them. That is, they live on other organism. The other organism from which the food is derived by parasite is called host. So suppose there is a parasitic plants live on host, and host provides food to the parasitic plants. Parasites can be partial or total. Dodder or Amarbel cascada is a total parasite. It is a long yellowish tubular structures. This is not important for you. Just remember what are parasitic plants. Just remember this definition. The heterotrophs living on another living organisms that derive food from them are called parasites. And just remember example, Dodler or Amarbel. That is enough. Mistletoe is a partial parasite. It has a green leaves and can photosynthesize, but it receives water and mineral from the host plants on which it grows. So just remember which is a partial parasite. It is a mistletoe. Now we come to insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants are the plants feed on insects are called insectivorous or carnivorous plants. They possess to catch insects. So just remember definition. What is the definition of an insectivorous plants? The plants feed on insects are called insectivorous or carnivorous plants. They possess to catch insects. So there are some plants which eat insects. Now you see this insectivorous plant, it has an insect in between and they eat it. So these are known as insectivorous plants. In pitcher plant, the leaf is modified to him a pitcher like structure with a lid. This is a pitcher plant and this is a lid. So this lid closes when an insect enters this pitcher. So that's how, and then it digests it. This is just like a stomach. Our stomach digests our food. This pitcher digests the insect. The trapped insect digests with the help of digestive juice secreted by insectivorous one. Just as I said that this is like a stomach, so the insect gets digested. The Venus flytrap, this is a Venus flytrap, and Sundew are other insectivorous plants. These plants grow in soil that is different from nitrogen. They fulfill their requirement by the insect and capture. So they remain open like this, and when an insect comes in between, they close and they digest the plants just like a stomach. Now we come to symbiotic plants. In this mode of heterotropic nutrition, two different kind of organisms live together and are benefited from each other. Example, lichen. In a lichen, algae and fungal partners live together. Both are mutually benefited. Algae is autotrophic and can photosynthesize. The fungus supplies water and minerals to alga. In return, alga gives prepared food to fungi. The relationship between two organisms in which they are mutually benefited to each other is called symbiotic. So this is important. You have to remember the definition of symbiotic. The definition of symbiotic is the relationship between two different organisms in which they are mutually benefited to each other. That means, see, in parasite, the parasite is benefited, but the host is in loss. But in symbiotic relationship, both the organisms are benefited because they both help each other. So that is called a symbiotic. In symbiotic, there are two organisms and they both help each other. An example is given: lichen, alga, and fungal partners that live together and are both mutually benefited. So in a lichen, there are algae and fungal partners that live together and are both benefited. Algae is autotrophic and can photosynthesize. The fungus supplies water and minerals. So a lichen is a symbiote in which, see, a lichen consists of two parts, alga and fungal. So algal and fungal is equal to lichen. Algae produces food and fungi produces water. So you need food and water to survive. So algae produces food and fungi produces water. So algae and fungi together builds up a lichen. Now, replenishing nutrients in the soil. Nutrient-rich soil is boon for the plants as they need these nutrients for their growth. Nutrient-rich soil is boon for the plants, that is beneficial for the plants. That is like a blessing for them because they need nutrients for their growth. But due to regular intake, the soil gets deficient in nutrients. So we know that the farmlands, we need fertilizers to keep them keep growing the plants, because if you keep consuming from a land, there is a deficient in nutrients. In a forest whose nutrients get replenished naturally by decaying of plants and animals. So we know that in a forest, the dead leaves and animals, they provide fertilizer to the soil by when they decay. Farmers add manures and fertilizers to make their field nutrient rich. So farmers add manures and fertilizers. Just as I told you, that fertilizer is necessary to keep a field highly nutrient. Most of the plants require nitrogen for their growth. After one harvest, the soil becomes deficient in nitrogen. Plants can't use atmospheric nitrogen directly to make proteins. Rhizobium bacteria converts free nitrogen of the atmosphere to nitrogenous compounds. So you know, nitrogen, air is composed of carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen. Nitrogen comprises about 72% of the air. So, but the nitrogen present in air cannot be used by the plants directly. So there comes the function of Rhizobium bacteria. This Rhizobium bacteria, it converts free nitrogen of the atmosphere. That means it takes nitrogen from the air and it gets settled in the soil so that plants can use it. This bacteria can't make its own food. It therefore lives in the roots of leguminous plants such as green, pea, mung, etc. for a food and shelter. So rhizobium helps. So rhizobium lives in the roots of leguminous plants such as green, pea, mung, etc. And they 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 get benefited because they cannot produce their own food. So they take their food from these plants and they return the benefit to these plants by absorbing atmospheric nitrogen and fixing it in the soil. So rhizobium has a symbiotic relationship with leguminous plants. Since I told you that a symbiosis means both the organisms are benefited. So in this case, rhizobium bacteria is one organism and a leguminous plant is another organism. So both are benefited because rhizobium provides them nitrogen and leguminous plants provide rhizobium with food. So rhizobium has a symbiotic relationship with leguminous plants. This is important for you, this rhizobium part. So the things to remember from this chapter is food is the basic need of all living beings. They get energy for growth and maintenance of their body from food. The basic activities which all living perform in order to maintain and continue their lives are called life processes. The process of absorbing nutrients from food and processing them to keep healthy is called nutrition. Orthotropic nutrition and heterotropic nutrition, that is self-made and others made. Green plants or autotrophs make their own food by inorganic materials like carbon dioxide in the presence of light by process of photosynthesis. Heterotrophs plant one of the four types. These are the different types of heterotrophs: saprophytic, parasitic, insectivorous, and symbiotic. Now here are the given there. Here are some common definitions that you need to learn. So that's all for the chapter. Thank you.